With the transfer window officially opening in just a few days, we're still in the dark about what Arsenal will do in this summer window. But today we're going to look at all the recent rumours, including a potential goalkeeper signing and what we can tell by the rumoured players around Arsenal. We're also going to cover players that are potentially being sold as we speak and all the latest news surrounding Arsenal. So let's get into it. Now, despite there not being any concrete rumours around Arsenal right now, I think this means that we are keeping things under wraps and are still planning to do a lot this summer. There are still key positions that we need to sign. It makes sense for us to wait until the financial year is over in July. However, I think by the suggested rumours and players that are on Arsenal's radar this summer, I think we can kind of get a picture of who we are trying to sign and who we are trying to sell. Now first, I think it's clear we are trying to sign a winger. We want someone that's going to be a wide forward and going to be able to come in and out of the team, being maybe a starting quality player. There's been rumours about players such as Pedro Neto and Nico Williams recently, but some of their wage demands and fee demands may be too much for Arsenal's liking. There has also been major rumours that Arsenal might be going in for Johan Bakayoko. Now, a right winger by trade, played brilliantly when Arsenal played them in the Champions League and he tore Kivior apart. He's very good with the ball to feet and has a brilliant dribbling capabilities. He's a player that is very good on the counter attack and he's very unpredictable with his pace and dribbling ability. He can take any team on the transition and could be brilliant down the right side for when Saka needs to rest and is not fit to play. And at just 21 years old, he could be a project player for Mikel Arteta to get his hands on and could end up developing into a great player in many different positions. He wouldn't necessarily require a start, but there has been rumours that he would definitely want to join a team where he's predicted to play a lot more, and there is question marks around the price because he has rejected moves in the past because he didn't necessarily like the team he was joining. With these links happening, you can see that Arsenal want a quick player that's probably going to be very good on a transition, probably someone they can develop or at least put on the bench for now that could potentially play on right and left wing positions. Now, although people like Bakayoko can only really play on the right wing, he could definitely be tried on the other side, and I think Arsenal want to try that with a different amount of players. Now, while the winger market may be tough, the goalkeeper market does look very strong for what Arsenal want, and Arsenal seem to have identified a player that they want to get the hands on, or a player the type of. And this is backed up by rumours that Spanish journalist Gerard Romero has reported that João Garcia could potentially be an Arsenal player this summer. While he hasn't played a lot of professional games in his career, he played 14 last season in the Liga 2 for Espanyol. And although I have heard he has shown some nervousness at times and also been a bit of a lack of ability, especially when it comes to shot stopping, overall the stats are very encouraging in the small amount he has played, sitting at around 82.5% save percentage and only conceded around a 0.5% goals per game. But the stats that specifically stand out for this guy is something that Mikel Arteta looks for all his players, and that is he's in the top 1% of crosses stopped in Europe. He is stopping around 16% of crosses into the box and is making around 1.6 defensive actions from outside the penalty area, meaning he's very much in control of his box at all times and can even back up the centre backs in building up pressure up the pitch. With him only being 23 years old and reportedly being a 6'3" tall, he could be a player that can come into the team and sit on the bench for a few years until David Raya gets really old, and then João Garcia could potentially play in the team. Although this does sound good, there has been rumours about Espanyol potentially wanting up to 20 mil, and a lot of Espanyol fans have said that he has been disappointed in some games he has played, and with his sample size not being too high, could be a little bit of a risk to put into that second goalkeeper spot. And with the rumoured interest that Arsenal are looking for a backup goalkeeper such as a Jason Steele sort of type of player, we are definitely looking for someone who's very good on the feet and can control their box at any given moment, rather than necessarily being an out and out shot stopper and being the best goalkeeper out there. We have also learned that Arsenal are definitely looking to bring a defender in this season. There has been recent rumours to players like Calafiori, who I talked about in yesterday's video, and players like João Hato have often been brought up as a left back / centre back player. Now, Arsenal want a left footed defender just in case Gabriel gets injured, but also someone that can cover the left back spot in being a defensively solid player but also being able to go up within the box. Looking at this stat, Arsenal's penalty box pass penetration is often very positive all around the pitch other than in the left corner. This is something that really suffers when you don't have a left footed player in a left back spot, and with Tomiyasu mostly starting the season and being the most trusted player there, that will definitely suffer with him not being as comfortable overlapping and crossing the ball in on his left foot from the byline. Someone like Calafiori or Arteta would bring that within the team and be able to play centre back as a backup option. And now, despite that clearly being the case, trying to get a left foot defender in, I think Arsenal are always looking for opportunities in the market to make good signings, and a recent rumour of Jules Koundé potentially being contacted by Arsenal really shows that in the market. Now, despite being signed for big money in Barcelona, it seems like they are done with him and they are trying to sell him for a little bit more cash so they can make different signing. This has led Arteta and Arsenal to believe he could be a good market opportunity, and although he hasn't been the best at Barcelona, he definitely has a lot of potential. He has mostly played in fullback for them, but is obviously a centre back by trade, and at 2.5 clearances per game and 2.5 aerials won, he is a very big aerial presence that can be very good in the air, exactly what Arsenal want. More importantly, he's also brilliant at passing, making around 90% completion rate and around 82 passes, having a lot of influence within the games. This and around 6.5 progressive passes show that his passes are meaning something. So even though he's not really doing too much other work, with him being very good at aerials and being a very good passer, he could adapt to Arsenal's system, and the fact that they have the majority of the ball a lot of the time, he doesn't really need to do a lot of tackles anyway. Now, while this signing could be maybe a transfer window too early, Arsenal could also go in for this player because it gives them relative depth in right back and centre back if they need it. It sort of covers the options around Saliba, and although there is still issues in left back and left-sided players, it could definitely resolve the right-sided and keep Arsenal's defence ticking along for the future. Now, deals like this that progress the team and eventually make the team better will have to be made with players being sold, so Arsenal really need to get their hands on selling some of their players and get better at selling this window. Now, there has been a few early reports about players wanting to leave and being wanted by other clubs, and the first one is Sambi Lokonga, who looks like he's in advanced talks with Sevilla over a permanent deal or potentially a loan. Now, the deal apparently is still being debated whether the agreement will be a transfer with an option to purchase or an obligation, but there is certainly agreement on both parties, with Arsenal wanting him to go permanently after this loan and Sevilla being a bit dubious if they want this to happen. Now, Sambi Lokonga hasn't had the best time at Arsenal and looked often out of place within our midfield, but he did have a brilliant loan at Luton in the Premier League and proved he can be a great ability to some teams out there. And while he is still young, has a lot of potential, it does look like Arsenal are going to cut their losses and are look to sell him for around £5 to £10 million. Now, while this signing doesn't represent much change in the sell value, I do think it makes sense to get a little money for him given where he is at his career. I think it's better just to get rid of him off the books than really care about the money you're going to get. Someone that Arsenal do care about the money they're going to get is Eddie Nketiah, and have reportedly put him up for offer for around £50 million to any team that wants to sign him. Now, with the recent rumours that Arsenal may struggle to get a striker in this summer, it still makes sense to sell Eddie Nketiah when he didn't really play the last 6 to 7 months and he is on big wages. There is also a lot of demand in the player, with teams such as Crystal Palace and West Ham wanting him, while teams abroad are also mentioned. And although £50 million is definitely on the upside, using deals which Chelsea do to sign strikers and sell strikers, with Brozier being around £40 million as well, it makes sense in market value why £50 million comparison to other sales would make sense, but they would have to get a good amount of offer to actually let him go in the first place. There's also been concrete talks that Smith Rowe will leave the club. Now, I think it's a player that Arsenal want to get rid of because he is got interest as well in the market, and teams such as Fulham and Crystal Palace have showed they want him to be in their team. Now, although he is ultimately loved by the fans, one of the biggest fan favourites, I think it is probably the right time to get rid of him. He doesn't play enough, and for his own progression he needs to go out and play more football. Of course, he's had injury issues which don't help him, but I also think Arsenal are kind of stacked in that attacking position, or at least can buy some cheap alternatives that could also do a decent job. 20-25 mil for Smith Rowe would also be quite reasonable. Now, it might seem a bit low compared to Eddie Nketiah, but Smith Rowe hasn't really performed at the level of Nketiah in at least 3 to 4 years now, even though his higher level that he was at was better than Eddie's. Eddie Nketiah has proven he can play in a top team, or at least in the Premier League, to a good amount in the last season, and Smith Rowe hasn't really done much since COVID, and I do think it's a brilliant market opportunity to Arsenal to be able to invest in other positions. And although it may seem like Arsenal are moving slow in the market with a lot of transfer rumours seamlessly propping up just for people to get clicks, I do think Arsenal are up to something. We're definitely doing deals between selling players and buying players, and we will all know more by the end of July. So there's no reason to panic as Arsenal fans, because the progression is going to keep happening this season. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think about this transfer roundup, or if you like this style of video, and if not, let me know why in the comments. Is there any players that you would like to see join the club? Let me know, and please like and subscribe for any more videos. I'll see you in the next one.